Welcome to Harari Habosa. Today we dive into the scramble for Africa, economic exploitation. Europe's economic extraction led to the decimation of African industries, as raw materials were primarily sourced for European factories. Unequal trade relations. Africa became reliant on raw material exports, leading to a lopsided relationship where African nations had limited bargaining power. Infrastructure development. Although European powers developed some infrastructure, it was primarily for resource extraction and not African development. Political ramifications, arbitrary borders, European powers ignored ethnic, cultural, and linguistic boundaries, resulting in divisive and conflict-prone borders. Erosion of indigenous systems, existing political institutions were weakened or eradicated, resulting in instability and the rise of authoritarian regimes. Proxy conflicts, European powers exploited African rivalries to maintain control, which often fostered ethnic tensions and long-standing conflicts. Political motives, national prestige, colonizing Africa was seen as a way for European powers to showcase their might and establish themselves as global powers. Strategic interests, control over key ports and naval bases in Africa, provided European powers with military advantages and secured trade routes. Social ramifications, loss of cultural identity, European assimilation policies undermined African languages, cultural practices, and values. Forced labor and human rights abuses, European colonizers imposed harsh labor conditions on Africans, leading to social unrest and widespread human rights violations. Education and health disparities, education and healthcare were selectively provided, perpetuating inequalities and influencing present-day development. Economic motives, raw materials, Africa's abundant natural resources, such as rubber, palm oil, diamonds, gold, and ivory, were highly coveted by European powers. Markets, European countries sought new markets where they could sell their manufactured goods. Investment opportunities, European capitalists aimed to invest capital in building infrastructure, exploiting natural resources, and establishing plantations in Africa. Title: The Scramble for Africa, Unveiling the Historical Context and Lasting Consequences. Introduction. The Scramble for Africa, also known as the Partition of Africa, was a period of intense colonization and annexation of African territories by European powers from the late 19th century to the early 20th century. This blog post aims to unravel the historical context and consequences of the Scramble for Africa, highlighting its lasting effects on the continent and encouraging readers to critically assess its implications. Historical context: the late 19th century witnessed a heightened interest in Africa due to its untapped resources, trade opportunities, and strategic advantages. Social motives, humanitarian and religious reasons. Some Europeans believed they had a moral duty to bring civilization, Christianity, and education to Africa. Social Darwinism. Racism and the belief in European racial superiority fueled ideas of civilizing Africans. Amidst the Industrial Revolution, Europe's growing economies needed raw materials, new markets, and places to invest capital. It is crucial to recognize the motivations and actions of European powers, as well as consider the economic, political, and social ramifications of colonization. Conclusion: the Scramble for Africa had far-reaching consequences that continue to shape the continent today. By acknowledging this complex historical period, we can better understand Africa's past and its contemporary challenges. Driven by economic, political, and social motivations, European countries raced to divide Africa for their own gain. Evaluating the implications of the Scramble for Africa is essential for promoting a more equitable and inclusive future for the continent.